Victor Gyokeres is about to sign for Arsenal. That deal is going to complete very, very soon, Mark. We know what I think he's a very good player. We wanted him at Man United. Viewers, let's listen to this hot take here from Tom Garrett on Pitchside. Let's take a little listen.
Here's another one. All his goals come in transition or penalties. Like Arsenal have 90% of the ball every game.
And also, if we are selling
he's
Martinelli,
quite clunky. He's terrible in the air for his size as well. He's not as good as Havertz aerially. I don't think he's as good as Havertz holding the ball up or linking either.
Do you not think
but he's a better finisher.
He's more of a number 9, which is what we're crying out for, getting the goals.
But then you're missing out on all the stuff Havertz gives you outside of goals.
But then also, when we had Havertz, people like you and other people were moaning about Havertz.
No, I know. I don't
think, what I mean? Like...
I don't think Havertz is good enough or should be your 9.
Yeah. But we should give him a go, Gyokeres. We should you can't knock him.
But you're talking about him like he's a child. Like, we'll just give him a go. Like,
he's done it I know he's done it in Portugal.
And so, mate, I could give you
Champions League as well.
I could give you 100 players who've done it in Portugal.
But he's done it in the Champions League.
Look at Darwin Núñez.
No, but he's done it in the Champions League. But my point is, you have to. You can't knock him until he's actually doing it.
No, did you watch the goals he scored against City? How did they happen?
Mostly transition.
I might be wrong, and I'll be happy to be wrong. I want Arsenal to improve. I think it'll be better for the league. That doesn't make sense to me.
Gyokeres, clunky, terrible in the air, not as good as Kai Havertz, doesn't make sense. What's your take on that, Mr. Goldbridge?
Well, for me, this is the striker I wanted at Manchester United, and I'm certainly not about to rewrite that just because he's signing for Arsenal. I think this is the problem sometimes. You know, there's so many people putting opinions out, mainstream, TikTok, YouTube, that I don't think they genuinely sat there and went, let's all agree that Gyokeres is great. I think somebody's got to play the villain, and in this case, it's Tom. And I've worked at TalkSport. I know that happens as well. I'm not saying it's scripted. I'm just saying that it's content creation, and I don't think he's got a point, actually, Valerie. I think he's got a terrible point, because I think it's so ridiculously lazy to say I could give you 100 players from Portugal that haven't done well. I could give you 100 players from Portugal that have, and also, we're not bloody AI robots, are we? We're human beings, and if every striker from Portugal has failed, doesn't mean that Gyokeres and Darwin Núñez are not related. So Darwin Núñez, for me, just can't finish. I think any Liverpool fan would agree with that. I think his positional sense is incredible. I think his work rate is incredible. He just can't finish. And I think if he could solve that, he'd be one of the world's best strikers. In relation to Gyokeres, he can finish. In relation to Gyokeres, he is strong. In relation to Gyokeres, he can dribble the ball. In relation to Gyokeres, his positional sense is very good. He is quick. I don't understand the analysis of a player where he's clunky and most of his goals come from transition. A lot of Haaland's goals came from transition before he went to Man City, but he's a wonderful penalty box striker. And I think if you give Gyokeres 3 good chances, which is what you would be expecting in an Arsenal shirt or a Man City shirt or a Liverpool shirt, you give Gyokeres 3 good chances a game in an Arsenal shirt, he will score 20 Premier League goals. And that's what Arsenal want. Now, he might look clunky. He might look like he can't take a free kick. He might not be great in the air. But I've seen enough of him. I'd have took him at Man United if Arsenal had pulled out today. I'd still take him at Man United. I think he is one of the best strikers in Europe. And I think the big fit for me, and it fitted United perfectly, is the fact that he's not 21 or 22 like Sesko, where if he'd come in, you'd have to go, well, we've got to give him a bit of time. The great thing about Gyokeres is he could flop. Anybody can flop. But he's 27. He's got to hit the ground. So if for all these people, and I heard Rio Ferdinand doing it as well, that he's going to struggle against Premier League defenders. He's playing for Arsenal. He's picked the right club. They need a striker. They're going to create chances, and he's going to score them. And he would have won the European Golden Boot if there wasn't some stupid rule about the top 5 leagues getting their goals doubled and everyone else getting them times by 1.5. He's also scored goals for Sweden. He's also scored goals in the Champions League. So the arrogance around the Portuguese league is incredible. And let's not forget, we've just watched the Club World Cup where the Brazilian league held its own against Premier League clubs. So I think that there's a lot of arrogance here. And I think actually, as British, and I see it with Man United a lot, we're quite arrogant about, oh, he's from the Portuguese league, or oh, he's from the French league. And yet, how many Champions Leagues have we won in the last 30 years? So I think he's a fantastic signing for Arsenal. I'm very, very jealous of it. And I think people are naturally just trying to be negative about a player before he's even had a chance. And look, he must be given a month or two to adjust. But he won't be given that. And I hope he doesn't score against Man United, but I hope he hits the ground running because I think it will make the Premier League title race a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a flaw in most players. You've had a handful of players, let's say attackers as an example. There's been a handful of attackers in the last 30 years of the game that, the era that you and I have watched, that you would say have been flawless. R9 at his peak, kind of flawless. Messi, Ronaldo at their peaks, kind of flawless, really and truly. Could do it all, brilliant, always delivered. But everybody else, there is not a striker that you could think about, and maybe you don't remember all their flaws, but I think of someone like Inzaghi. Okay, this man was prolific and dangerous, but he lived offside as an example. If a Premier League team signed peak Inzaghi today, you'd get a percentage going. I don't want him. Why? He's offside too much. Yeah, but he scores 20 plus goals a season. He's excellent. There's Andy Cole used to get this a lot, and he used to be saying, I remember a lot of friends that weren't United fans. Yeah, he misses too many chances. Though. He misses too many chances. And then I did years later, when all the stats came out, I did the maths on it. He had like a 20% conversion rate consistently, but it was a narrative that was created that he missed too many chances. He didn't miss any more than the other strikers in his era. So sometimes when you hear something, people make it sound like it's the truth. And yeah, okay, he's not scored a lot of goals with his head. That's fair enough. But the amount of opportunities that it's not even Arsenal missed last year, where there wasn't even a striker in a natural striker's position to tap the ball in or to make the right runs off the shoulder. I think he's going to be a massive hit. And yeah, of course, there's some elements of his game. There might be moments where he's a bit clunky. There's definitely going to be times it will happen on the opening game of the season, Mark. The ball's going to get fizzed into him against United. He's going to control it, and Maguire might take it off his toes. That doesn't make him a bad player, because I saw R9 get tackled multiple times in the game. And in fact, even the best players ever, every time they held the ball up, every time they tried a through ball, every time they tried a shot, they scored. Do you know that Messi would have like 10 times the amount of goals? Like Barca would have won every game 8-9, 10-0. You lose more. Attackers generally lose more duels. They get tackled more, and they shoot more off target than on target. But we've done this weird thing in the modern day game, is we try and take a stat like, oh, look, only 40% of his shots are on target, and we try and make it sound abnormally bad, but it's actually very, very good indeed. So listen, I respect pitch side and what they do over there, but I think these bad Gyokeres takes, I think they're going to age in a very similar way to that of the Erling Haaland takes. Which, by the way, I was going to say exactly this. It was Rory, wasn't it, from the same outlet, or the club, which is basically the same thing. And it was like Erling. Well, they're right next to each other, aren't they? They're the same thing. But they are. They're not the only people who do it. It's not really my style. I did do it once when I said that Van Dijk was going to be the next. It was the Dutch Chris Smalling, and actually Chris Smalling wasn't a bad centre back, to be fair. But that was many years ago. It's probably about 10 years ago now. But I think that it was Rory who said about how Erling Haaland was going to flop, and now you've got it about Gyokeres. And with all due respect, it's a bad take, because it's totally and utterly about making a bit of noise. It's totally and utterly predictive. And it's totally and utterly unfair on the player who has not played in the Premier League yet and hasn't even kicked a ball yet, to be analysing them and going, I think they're a bit clunky, I think they're a bit that. Look, it's an opinion, but I think it's one of those that actually almost benefits you if you get it wrong, because you can go, I was wrong. I was actually wrong. He's brilliant. And then all the people that were slating you go, oh, at least he's admitted it. It's actually a very good tactic. I'm giving away some tips here. It's actually a very good tactic to come out with a really out there take and then admit you were wrong. And everyone goes, he's a good lad, really. He's actually a good lad. So, look, it's normally the tactic of talk shit. It's talk shit tactic, really. It's normally someone like Andy Goldstein doing it, to be fair. But it's infiltrating our world now. Yeah, we all get things wrong. But I think... I do think you're right. I think a lot of, and I'm not necessarily saying Tom Garrett's doing this. I don't know the guy, but I definitely see a lot of people now look at a player that scored 97 goals in 102 games. And even if you're unsure, I still think there's a balanced way of putting it across. But they still do it to Haaland. So Haaland can have a bad few weeks and they go, Roy Keane was right about being a League One player. But no, he isn't. Like, if you've ever, I've watched League One football, Leighton Orient are in it. I watch it quite a bit with my brother. Erling Haaland is superior to every single striker in that league in every facet of his game on a consistent basis. It's an exaggeration, and that's what a lot of this is. Even if there's a chance Gyokeres' goals drop by 25-30%, but that's still a man in all comps scoring 20 to 30 goals a season, which is important. And I've also seen this with Gyokeres this year. People saying, yeah, but all comps don't matter. What do you mean? We might get 10 goals against League Two teams in the League Cup. Fair. That's again, but that's an extreme example. But at the same time, everyone's saying Arteta's got to win multiple trophies. Well, how does he win multiple trophies? If how is it important for him to win multiple trophies, but then players scoring goals in those competitions are unimportant and don't reflect a quality player? That's my problem with the analysis. It all seems jovial and flawed in a way of, I've got to find a way of making this a bad signing, as opposed to just being honest and saying, it's pretty good, really, isn't it? Like, that for me is what it should be.
Well, look, Haaland, for me, if you give him the service, is one of the best strikers in the world. Gyokeres is very different to Haaland because he actually can provide goals as well. So I think people are sleeping on that. I think he will do very, very well. He was the player I didn't want Arsenal to sign.
Yep. United not getting Gyokeres is down to Amorim and the players not being able to beat a hugely depleted 17th Spurs. No doubt we would have got him if we had Champions League football. Well, yeah, I mean, Fabrizio said it was like 99% sure it would happen, but we wouldn't have got him, though, because we would have got the lap. So we actually wouldn't have got Gyokeres, again, if you believe the order of these stories. So who I do think the laps look quite tidy in a Chelsea shirt, to be fair, but there we go. I'm still not over the Europa League final. Seriously devastating, but imagine we had won and the owners thought this is a winning team and not even got the only player we got. And didn't even get Cunha, I think you mean. I don't know. It really is confusing. Oh, we'd have bought players. Even the worst, when Mike Ashley was ruining Newcastle, they still bought football players. Like, we wouldn't have not bought a player. Not worried, but why is Gyokeres taking so long? Well, because you're dealing with a club. It's very obvious why for me. Sporting are just trying to do everything they can to get more money because they've got to give 25% of the sale away. That's why the clubs that have got sell-on clauses. That's all this is. And I think they're now regretting the gentleman's agreement, which they've relinquished, but they've got to honor it to a certain degree because there are still legal precedents within gentlemen's agreements. You can't, at this level where people have got money to have good lawyers, you can still lose out in the longer term. So that's all this is about. I think Arsenal fans should remain calm on that.